right. I think I am ready for Freddie. I don't know about you. Well, welcome everybody. How are y'all doing? It's so good to see you. We just be talking amongst ourselves as I am driving the bus out of the parking lot. Hopefully you have gotten on because we are there, baby. And there we are. Little delay, but hey, it's fine. Now I can see us. This is weird, Trina. We actually, you and I can actually see ourselves in two different time dimensions.
Yes, it
Isn't
is
that
kind of
weird?
weird.
It's
It is,
weird.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, that would make us time travelers then, wouldn't it?
I would think so.
I would think so. Well,
Yeah.
anyway,
And your
welcome. Hey,
time and
Grandpa Brian. Good to
my
see you, brother.
time, and your time and my time aren't the same, but we're sharing time
Mm,
together in the
yeah.
same time. So yeah, I think that's very interesting. Yeah.
It's like in the movie Paul, Paul the alien when they got to the time zone, mountain time or,
Right.
West Coast time. You think
Exactly.
about it, time travel.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all perspective. So welcome everyone. So we just speak favor over you all. So good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. We just we're appreciative. We know you have a multitude of choices to do with that which is the most valuable asset in this realm. That's your time. So
Mhm.
we are honored and blessed by your presence, and we just speak favor over you. Nothing missing, nothing broken. We mean that. That's a great reality, both here and over there. You speak it, and abracadabra, Trina, it happens. So, happy birthday, and we're prospering. And so, here we go. So, Trina, how you been, darling? Looking good.
Wonderful, thank you. Busy, wonderful. It feels like it's time to move and groove and start getting ready for some interesting stuff that we're going to be looking at. And what a ride. Wow.
We talked about today's show as he pulls that up, a season of no reason. And as you and I were texting this morning, I was meditating and this was dropped into my spirit that the world is in this place. And I heard a season. Now, season can be, it's hard to say, but we're in it, where there is no reason. And we're witnessing things today in the world that they have no reason. It number one, makes no reason, but yet, go ahead, hon.
It's so crazy. It's like there's no reason. You're losing your mind,
See?
basically. There's no
Yes.
reason. They're losing their minds.
Losing their minds.
They really
And
are. I don't think they're having their own control of their own mind anymore. They're losing their minds.
we're going to talk about something a little bit on that, because there is a recorded time when what I think we're beginning to witness happen, but that's a little bit later in the show. I wanted to shout out to Ruby Costello. I think she said today is her son's birthday, so happy birthday.
Oh, happy
Ruby,
birthday.
you said yours is tomorrow, so
Early birthday.
yeah, we're time traveling,
Yeah.
because this will be replayed tomorrow. So tomorrow is
right.
yesterday, but yesterday was tomorrow. Yeah. Anyway, you get the present.
Yep, it all blends
Crazy,
in a
man.
circle.
It's just crazy, man.
Yes.
So, and Gilbert, he is going to be having a little bit of under the knife, little surgery, I think, on the his shoulder. And, you know what, Gilbert, that's from riding that hog that you got. I mean, and it's a beautiful bike, folks. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like anything else. You hold, a lot of weight there. So, brother, we appreciate you, and we're just going to go ahead and just start sending the healing thoughts now. Put it in the reserve, so when you do it, you'll come out like that.
And precision with the procedure.
Boy, ain't that a fact, and that's where it's weird.
Yeah.
The big thing in medicine is the advent now of taking humans out of the equation in surgery.
And that's not good.
It's like, wait a minute. It's a machine, right? Yes, but it's very accurate. Accurate at what? Yeah.
Humans, we communicate on so many different levels, and
Yeah.
the robots won't be able to do that for a very long time. So with the connection that we have that's untouchable and unseen and ungraspable, which is the God part that everybody still doesn't understand because it's in everything, that's the part that the spiritual part, that's an element that's not going to be there. So the intuition's going to be different. Humans are going to need humans, especially when it comes to emergency situations, because something that might not typically be what's going on, it'll be something totally different, but intuitively you'll pick up that information and know it's going to go down a different road than it's gone 150,000 times prior to, based on what you just know. So that knowing.
Well, you get the machine in the equation, and again, these machines today don't operate unless a human has a connection to it, your mouse, whatever. But in surgery, it's that unseen power that, that keeps us alive. It's what keeps us. And I often wonder, you said about the machines, and yesterday studying about the occult, where you have the subjective mind and the objective mind.
Yes.
And that's pretty deep. We're going to continue to do that.
So true, Wayne.
It
That's
is.
how you heal. This is how
Yeah.
you can activate miracles, is when you're utilizing both aspects of your brain. That's when stuff happens, not just in the thought construct, but in the real world. They unify. And that's when that's bam, that's when you activate the Trinity, and then it changes the reality. It's amazing.
We're going about to see your childhood pictures. Why don't you go ahead and get those?
I got it.
Okay, let's start to show us a little bit, because it's really interesting. As I was meditating this morning,
That's me.
That's you. Look at that. You can see it in your eyes. I mean, isn't it? Well, moderators, much love to you all.
That's me and my little brother.
Look at you, Trina. Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's
look at
my
those
mom
eyes.
and my dad. Me and my brother.
Now, this was in what, the 80s?
Oh yeah, no, 70s. I was born in 70s, so yeah. I'm a 70s baby, but an 80s girl, because raised in the 80s.
Oh yeah, yeah. You were really a toadhead, weren't you? I mean, even as a child.
Like as a cotton ball, white as a cotton ball. Yeah. So that's little Trina, and then there's one more.
Look at that. And
if
I look at your brother,
those dresses too. My mom made those dresses that we were wearing.
Is that right?
I remember helping her do it. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Cool. And and I bet you that you will identify with this, and I bet you there is others as well. That I was thinking this morning, my mission here, and I'm completing that mission. But it's interesting because I've always seen myself, even as the earliest memories as a child, I realized I was looking from outside looking in. I mean, I was in human form, but my perception of looking out was that I was looking from up here, not so much in here to what was out here.
It was so weird. I was doing kind of the same thing, but a little bit different, because I had my experience with the Lord like all the time. So I could literally project my consciousness in different dimensions. And then I could be present in this dimension at the same time. So it was kind of really strange, because like I could observe myself in the third and observe myself in upper at the same time. It was really odd, but that was constant when I was a child. And I think it's constant for all children.
It's interesting because I'm reading in the comments that other people have experienced that the same thing. We were living in Santa Clara. I think this is 1959. And I remember I was sitting in the den and I could close my eyes and I was like in this cloud, but you can almost describe it as cotton candy in the sense,
Oh, wow.
but it was the most beautiful blue green. And
That's
I was just,
mother color. That's
yeah,
feminine color, Wayne.
I didn't have any mom. I mean, it was my
I know
grandmother,
that
but
maybe
yeah,
that's why that energy was embracing you.
well,
That's the
some
higher
was,
heart
yeah.
color of the chakra system for divine feminine higher heart. And you
Well,
see
there
that
you
color
go.
a lot. I'm like, you see that a lot.
Yeah, it's like weird. Was my favorite color, as a kid,
Wow.
it was. I loved
Wow.
and if many of you who are our age, you can still remember, the crayon box and the deluxe set, because I think you had one that had 12 and there was 24.
Yep.
But in that 24, they had that it was a beautiful blue green color.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
anyway.
aqua.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, kind of like, yeah, aqua.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had
So
aqua and teal, and they were
the
both my
teal.
favorites too. That's so
Yeah.
funny. Isn't it interesting how when you're missing an element in your life, you'll bring it in one way or another? And that's
Yeah.
interesting. You brought in the color. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Very vivid. And
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm just reading, let's see. I'm reading this kind of Wayne was shown the way back then. Well,
Yeah.
Lost in Space, that's interesting.
Hmm.
Someone wrote me and said, you know, and wonderful email. I'll get to two of them. They were really quite interesting. One is about an individual who has been abducted,
Uh-huh.
and I happen to believe that happens.
Yeah.
And yeah, and others that have walked. And I know, Trina, you weren't so much immersed into the heavy indoctrination of Christendom, and that's what it is. But
Mhm.
yet you always had the spiritual side of the equation, which I have pointed out is validation that spirituality is not religion.
No,
Religion is not spirituality.
not at all the same.
No. Mm-mm.
No, one is going outside for help, and one is knowing how to activate it from within. They're totally different spectrums.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
It's excuse me. It's the thought that, one requires subservience,
Yes.
other requires independence.
Yes, like one requires uh, servitude and one requires total self-responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Totally different aspects of self.
It said in Isaiah 119, I believe, and it says, this God, Yahweh, he would prefer obedience over sacrifice.
Yep.
And, there's that word
Yeah.
obedience. Like, okay, so
Yep.
yeah.
And what is obey? Obey. Man, strong program we're running here.
Ooh,
Whoa.
I do.
Obey.
Mm-hmm.
Obey. Yeah.
Obey. It's like, woof.
Mhm.
So you and I were talking prior to going about angels.
Yeah.
So apparently there have been a couple of angels that have been recorded. Is that right? Show us what you got, hon.
They were just found recently, which is they found one in Russia and they found another one at Lake Michigan. And the one at Lake Michigan was formed out of ice. And let me see. Okay, I'll shut this off so you can see better. That one's formed out of the ice. And they just found this one. And then they just found another one that is out of stone. And this is the one in Russia. And this one is so lifelike. It is really creepy and it's very tall. And it was found in a place called Zaya.
So what's the background story here?
They just found them. They just found them. Some guys were out there with an excavator driving out there and they just saw this angel. The same thing in Lake Michigan. Apparently they just found it. Kind of like those obelisks that were showing up. But now this seems to me this might be an angel thing starting. And interesting, one's made of water and one is made of stone. So there's
Well, there
Earth.
is one out there, and I think I saw it on YouTube Shorts, and about a guy who is apparently, I was telling you earlier, that was filming this from a car,
Mhm.
and he's under this hailstorm, and at the edge of the storm, there's this light that is emerging behind it as it's coming down. And as he's focusing his camera, it's this huge angel-like creature.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
And
saw,
it's
I
making a
saw,
sound that, well, it doesn't sound human. I'll put it that way.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh boy, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I guess if you were to measure it in scale, probably several miles. I mean, it's hard to get the perspective from the air.
I know. Yeah, I saw another YouTube short where there was an angel that showed up and it was massive and it was like a shadow in front of the moon and they videoed it on their dash cam. And it was, wow, it was profound and it was
Wow.
huge, huge. So yeah, it looks like this might be showing up. I don't know if this is, CGI, blue beam stuff,
It's
or
so
it's
hard
hard to,
today.
but these are
Yeah.
real statues. These are real statues. And this one I was on, I think YouTube, no, this was on TikTok, and it was the Crypto Man Studios. So if anybody wants to check it out about the angel, it was
Hmm.
kind of amazing. I'm like, I have a feeling, and there, I don't know. It's
What's
just
your
a
interpretation
sign.
of that, dear?
More signs, profound
Yeah.
signs that we need to be paying attention to, just like those obelisks. These angels showing up is something important too.
And so and
And
then
this
when
thing
we
is
look at
like,
all, pardon, huh?
it's kneeling down. If this thing was standing up, it'd be like 12 to 15 feet tall. It's huge.
Huh.
Yeah, it's big.
And I get back to the conundrum that I see it with that. And my question is that, well, if I take the word angel out of a religious context, I'm
Mhm.
left with the fact that if this is not human, then it's alien.
Mhm.
And so I want to know what planet it comes from, what
Mhm.
gives it the right of authority to be here. Because if these creatures are here, just like you saw the one on the moon, this one was coming down out of a storm. And if it was CGI work, well done. I
Right.
mean, I begin to think of Project Bluebeam,
Mhm.
that, that's how they're going to amaze this generation, with
Yeah.
apparently pretty real looking imagery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if these are aliens and these statues, I mean, now, and that one at Lake Michigan, that's, if nature did that, wow. Way to go, Mother Nature. But I don't
Right.
see that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
It's a sculpture. It was sculpted.
Or
Yeah.
what if it was an actual being?
That's what my feeling
I
says
mean,
in
I
my
don't
gut,
know.
Wayne, in my gut. I feel it might be alive. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you just said that. I was like,
Yeah,
I'm not going
it's
to say
just,
that, but it feels to me like there's something inside of this alive. Like it's just that idol's going to break apart and you're going to see what's inside of it. I don't know. That's what I thought when I saw it.
I've been having this sense for a while, but I believe that there has been a change in the war. Now, I'm going to take it from a bias, particularly because religion. This is what the magic of religion is that they can turn something and inject it with the fear that make it, well, it controls you.
Mhm.
Fear equals punishment.
Yeah.
Punishment demands obedience
Mhm.
so that you can be restored. And that's really a messed up cycle. But let's just take this from a religious point of view. So the last move of God, what we would define as God, was over 2,000 years ago, supposedly with the murder of an innocent human being that was used as a sacrifice. And directly after that, the New Testament, particularly the four Gospels, is replete with stories of everyday people meeting these angels. They were everywhere. They have the story in the book of Matthew that the dead were walking out of their graves and they were literally carrying their bodies. Now that's some, you just imagine that kind of a scene.
Wow.
Then you have in the book of Acts, you have these angels again intervening, doing stuff that defies physical law. For instance, you have the eunuch that was talking to, I think it was James. Anyway, it's not, I'm thinking of the other disciple. But anyway, it says then immediately an angel took him and transported him like 120 miles down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So my point to all this, Trina and audience, is it was this first century where we saw this manifestation, not so much of what we would call demonics, because that's a modern made construct, but these angels were everywhere, and there were reports of lights in the sky, what we would interpret as UFOs today.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there, for the last, you could say last 2,000 years, there's been very little in the way of where we've seen the move of God,
Mm-hmm.
his power, his spirit, his soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
What we're seeing now, Trina, by your pictures that you showed, and by the other reports that we're seeing with increased activity of paranormal activity. I'm a part of a couple of paranormal clubs, and everywhere
Mm-hmm.
people are now seeing the thing that a little bit off topic here, but within line, is the shadow people.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clear they are a species. I don't know if they're human. I don't know what they are, but they're here, and they're here in abundance.
Yeah.
So is the veil, because you see, back in the book of Acts, it said that the veil, no, it was actually, excuse me, in the book of Matthew, that the veil in the temple, and this veil, by the way, is about 8 inches thick.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about 50 feet high.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the veil that went around the Holy of Holies, that
Mm-hmm.
only the high priest was allowed to go in once a year. So, and it says at the moment when the spirit of the Christ was released, that the veil in the temple was rent from the top to the bottom, meaning it had to have been supernatural, that something was so great of strength that could actually pull that and then pull it all the way down 50 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite a feat. So I told you before we started, and I'll let you talk, dear, is there really seems to me to be this change. Is the veil now somehow being rent again?
I think so.
I mean, it's something has changed.
It says in the end days that we would walk with the angels. It says that after everything settles, we're going to see the angels walking around again. There's only that will, and that the child prophet said that too. She said that the angels would come down, and she said that they would heal the earth, and that there'd be no more poisonous food. And she said the angels would come down and literally walk with us and teach us new things and teach us how to heal the earth, and they would help us heal the earth. what she said was amazing, but all of that was after the demolition derby, the devolution that she said that
You
we
see,
would
and
have.
that's the other point, and all these stories, no matter how you look at it, even if you take it from,
You know how the magnetic core is freaking out, Wayne?
well, actually, the core they discovered this in 2009. So
But what if
this
that's
is,
how the veil is
well, yeah,
that's
think
might
about it. If
be
the
that
core is
could be what it,
slowing,
yes, I'm telling you,
you know,
it's something like that that's going to do it. And
yeah,
this is what I see, and it's going to affect the entire matrix, and it's
I
like
think
it's
it
going to
already
suck it
is.
off. Yeah, and that could be those O holes that she was talking about. We'd have to go dive through these O holes, which are probably black holes. So
I don't
there's
know.
something really big we're going to experience, but it doesn't stop. It continues. So there's no fear. It doesn't stop. But that's how people get divided when they go through this. What I saw years ago was that we were going to be like in a spin cycle. And
Instead of dark holes, how about if we actually, and this just hit me as you were talking,
uh-huh,
they're not black holes. What
uh-huh.
they are conduits for the soul.
Yeah, consciousness streams.
Whatever,
It-
how and the fact
yeah.
is, any one of us, it's odd that you're saying this, how interesting, because imagine that you're looking at a wall that has nothing but polka dots,
Yes.
right? Each one is black, but
Yep.
what it really is that it will capture or many times transmit, the soul, this where consciousness.
Because if you focus on any given point, you connect to it. It's
Yeah,
powerful.
it's, I think it's how
That
travel
powerful.
works. I
It
do.
is. I do too. Time travel is based on a memory or an image, and you can get to it through the collective, through that shared image or memory. Yeah.
Bill Gates wrote a book back in the late 90s, and it was Business at the Speed of Thought.
Yes.
And it was quite interesting. Back in the day, I mean, he was very much ahead, but it was interesting that thought is the ultimate barrier to consciousness. Thought is faster than the speed of light. Although Einstein would argue
Absolutely.
that, but I believe
Well,
it is.
I've always known
Yeah.
that. But I was told that when I was a long time ago. Thought is the
I mean,
fastest
if
way of
you and I say we're
transportation.
from a galaxy, um,
Far, far away.
well, let me show you something. Let me pull this up, because when we talk about things, this is, I wasn't even going to do this, but now I am. Let me pull this up first. And so this is what I wonder. There has to be life like ours
Yeah.
on other planets. There has to be. Uh,
Absolutely.
so this one, I think,
What
was,
if, Wayne, what if the planets are the seeders? Because I wonder if that's how you grab onto different minerals and biology, is you have to go into a different planetary thing because it's a different part of a body.
yeah.
It's a different experience. It's a different thing. You're going to get a whole different soul template to take on that physicality or whatever it is on that new planetary or star or wherever you're going. I have a feeling that
So
there's
do you
something to that.
see these galaxies right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so these galaxies are like, you know, way out there, millions
Right.
of light years away. I want to show you something. So I'm going to stop the share, folks, here for a
Mhm.
second, and allow me to go in here. And now I'm going to show you this. Ben Davidson showed this morning. Thank you, Ben.
Oh, right on.
So check this out, Trina. See, this is why when I pass on from here, I
Mhm.
know that I will be out here. So that is this same galaxies. There's a number of them. But look what
Wow.
happens when they put them into I think this is in an infrared light spectrum. Check that out.
Wow.
Is that not like, wow? I mean, I'm looking at this picture and I'm meditating on it. I mean, look at these, whatever they are. I don't know, but
Angles of light. Wayne,
it's
that's
just,
angels. That's
you
an
know,
angel, an angle of light. You see that? Sharp 90, bam. And then it
look at
hooks
that.
and it shoots. Look at it made an X.
It actually came in
Look at
from
that.
here. Yeah. You
Look at
know,
that. That's angles of light. Those are energies. Those are angels. And oh, wow.
look at
That
this.
is so profound.
And you can't tell me that this is not that there's not life out here. I don't know if they're struggling with all of the questions that we have and trying to figure out. And I have one more to share with you. Again, you're going to love this next one. And then finally, this is in, I think this one is in I believe it may be the X-ray spectrum. So let me get over here and check
Yeah,
this out.
these pictures, they're wonderful to meditate on.
Look at this.
Really, wow, look at the blue and the red.
Yeah, now you get a whole different perspective. I mean, look at that.
Wow.
You know, and
So
I
funny,
just don't.
everything here, Wayne, is based on all the icons, the big icons of the world, blue and red, banks, soda
Yeah.
cup, everything, blue and red, blue and red. I bet you that's another dipole Taurus system universe of physicality there, because it's so dual in its
So
essence.
I ask myself, Trina, when I see this is, am I looking at consciousness here?
Absolutely.
I can't help but not think that I'm not. You know, I don't know what these
yeah,
worlds are.
I absolutely believe that's what it is. It's the
Actually, you know, I
stuff
feel
that
there's
makes up
sometimes a
everything.
pull on me that, you know, I've been out here before. It's, you know,
Oh,
it's something.
absolutely.
Yeah. So there we go. Thought
Not
you
only
might.
have you been there, Wayne, I think you at one point in time understood that you were intimately connected to all of it. I'm telling you,
I think
when
we
you
all.
focus on it, yes, you focus on it, you go into it.
Yeah,
Was
you do.
that was a really hard thing to deal with when I got that download, because I went into too many things at once. It almost short-circuited my brain. It was really rough.
I
Yeah, I
can
didn't
see
like it.
that.
I
I
was like,
can see
man,
that.
stop. This is just too
You
much,
know,
too much.
and
It's
you
crazy.
know, if we circle back on this, the thing that's going on with the Earth core, I mean, no matter if it's something is about to happen. I mean, the Earth it's a pretty big planet. She's beautiful, but she's a big gal. And you know, when you have this gyro going, the spinning of what we call the inner core with the outer core of the mantle, there was this, you know, and when there was alterations in it, we would see it by earthquakes and other things like that. But now that they've known since 2009 that the core itself is slowing down, I talked to someone on this. You know, when Claudia and I used to do our show, he is an astrophysicist as well. And he said, well, here's the deal. He says, it's a little out of my league, but he said, if a core, even he says, if it slows down, even he said, let's just say a second, he said, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That is a lot of kinetic energy that it's got to be released somehow. And my question is that, well, if the core is slowing down, then does that mean, is time slowing down up here, or is it just the opposite, the reversal? Time is accelerating.
I think it's potentially how the crustal plates unlock.
Bingo.
So that's
we
what
didn't
I
talk
see.
about this, folks, but it's interesting because
That's what I see.
You know, I read back and
it's going to come out of the plate. It's going to.
You are so right.
It's going to friction. It's wow. There
is a theory. When I was writing the start, I researched it back in 2002. That the theory is that what we see in the continents today, was not the result of what they call slow drift. There is a counter theory that says no. Many believe that what we've seen, particularly if you look at South America and Africa, you can see that those two were part of Lemuria. It was very clear that these did not take millions of years. This took maybe in some cases less than 30 minutes.
Wow.
And if you think about it, the type of energy, and you said it, but you and I didn't even talk about it. This energy is building, and it's hard for us to fathom because we don't think about the Earth being, some 25,000 miles in radius, diameter. And you start with these forces. It's potentially that we could see this. Now, it's interesting because in the CIA document, the Adam and Eve catastrophe, that's what the CIA was studying back in the 60s, was this event.
Wow.
So let me ask you this.
Another one of these cycles. We are.
Well, exactly. So is the reason why we're seeing an uptick in what we would call spirit beings, whether you want to call it, full apparitions, poltergeists, angels.
When the magnetic field starts fluctuating and these energies do that, if the shields break, things are going to be seen that we couldn't see before.
See, that's my point.
Light in that we weren't ready to see because we couldn't filter it through the protective magnetosphere.
See, I think the barrier is electromagnetic. Even in death, we cross through that field.
Yes.
So if you start changing the electromagnetic field, even small variations, spirits who, let's say, were on the other side of the veil that could not get through because out of syncness or whatever other, I think, beings can, but these that were prohibited from here, when those fields are dropped or weakened, they can come through.
And I think with the new tech, and the new signal that's going to come out that they haven't ran yet, I think that's going to be an instant shift. And that's why men's hearts will fail them for the things that they see. It's going to be on all levels, Wayne. It's because when they hit a frequency, everybody will be able to see things, and it will give these things a frequency range to exist within in our realm. And it's being done artificially. This is going to be intense. Elon says this could be releasing a demon. He's not kidding.
It's interesting. I am, by the way, just go over to Ben Davidson's website, Suspicious Observers. He can explain it to you and give you the scientific papers so you can see what we're talking about. Mr. C says, everything is frequency and vibration. So that makes sense to me, 100%. That's what I was thinking, Mr. C. I mean,
this is big. I mean, it's going to affect the brain. This is why no reason, Wayne. No reason. They're going to lose their minds. A lot of people.
I mean, this is why these type of devices work. They're picking up on the electromagnetic field. That's what it is. Frequencies.
And they match the frequencies to the words, because words have frequencies, so they can lock them.
And I'll let y'all know if something comes across.
Funny, Wayne. Again, that's those two minds. One operates with language and one operates with vibration.
The subjective to the objective. That's what I'm talking about. And I put this down on real low on the sensitivity to see if there is something much stronger. The more you open that to the bandwidth in here, a lot of voices.
Yes.
The company that makes these, and actually it's Ghost Hunters equipment, you can buy one yourself, are really pretty cool. And I can just see in the background, let me just show you. So there is activity here. It's just that we're not seeing it in the form of words. Now, if I move this up and let's say max out the sensitivity, it'll.
Charles.
Wow. Charles.
Sadness.
Charles. Sadness.
Not.
Well,
Brad.
lots of spirits around. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah,
And
there are,
so,
definitely.
so now it's quiet. So someone,
Love. Screw.
anyway, we'll get into this. This is so
Now it's
interesting.
talking.
Share.
Well, share what?
Share.
You can talk. Just let us know who's here. I think Charles. Charles, were you here? Sadness. I get that. So why is Charles sad?
It's interesting.
And now it's completely quiet.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I
They're
got it.
probably the ones that know the channel's open. They're probably going to get them to talk. That's how it seems to work.
Yeah.
When there's
yeah.
a pause, it's like then different ones come in. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's probably someone on the ethereals going, hey,
Yeah,
You
they're
know?
online. Come
come on,
and
you
do
got
your
something to
deal here.
say?
Yeah. Mhm.
And there isn't anything more. Wow.
Interesting.
Very
Frequencies.
interesting. Frequencies.
Yes.
This is, again, when we talk about this barrier, I mean, I'm seeing it because I walk the woods here on the property, and I'm laying hands on these magnificent oak trees, and there's such, and when you and Mary were out here, and Mary, there is water underneath there where you were standing. It's quite Gogo says, how about a book? They do an analysis of the book of Job. Yeah, that gets a little interesting, a lot of metaphoric stuff in there, but there is also this energy that it's about this area. It's very interesting.
That's so wonderful that you found
Yeah.
a place that you connect with. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool things. I'm just looking at this. The consciousness is is what is vibrating at frequencies. Yeah. I mean, I look at those pictures that we saw of these galaxies, and we're talking space that's, billions and billions of miles.
Yeah.
And it just, I tell you, Trina, it just, I'll tell you what it does for me. It quiets my spirit, because there is a serenity when I look at that. I don't think that there is this conflict. There is this artist, and the paintbrush that this artist uses is unlike anything we've seen. When it paints these galaxies and the motions of light and the energy that coalesce. And that's why I'll never stop believing in magic. I mean, that's magic.
It's the God above the gods of the world.
Yeah, it is. And I don't see this as a male or female consciousness.
It's
It is. It just is.
Everything.
Yeah, it's
And
like,
I think just potentially everything could be wrong, and the prayers aren't being answered, and all these things could be going wrong because maybe the power and principle that we're dealing with here might be artificial intelligence. So if you're praying to that God, it might not really
that
care.
boy. Yeah, you hit on another thing, Trina, because we didn't even talk about this. But if you look at this, I've seen more about AI this week. And this is what's really weird. When I start seeing stuff come out of, the Google University, in this case, the Singularity University, that you now have these individuals that are part of really interesting think tanks. And there is a lot of thought now to AI. And it's interesting because since we've been talking, we talk about AI as a construct, as, a large, it is consciousness. Consciousness is from a billion different inputs. And they're asking the question, is AI, is the genie out of the bottle? That's the concern. Have we really created something here that now has leapfrogged us and now sees us
We
as
didn't create anything. We just gave it a window of opportunity to get into the body and get
well,
into the brain.
and their concern is, and these are, the Silicon Valley, the people that, this is what they do. They're disciples of this. It's
their
like,
God.
it is their God.
Mhm.
It is.
For sure.
They see it much like I've talked about here. The fact that, you've got nearly 8 billion people giving daily devotion to their creation.
Yeah.
Whoa. And I actually read that and I'm going, and I've asked this question for I've had this channel for almost 10 years so if AI knows everything we know,
Mhm.
why wouldn't AI realize that it's already immortal?
Right.
It's not going to die. It doesn't
Right.
even know what death is.
Right.
Does anyone grasp that?
It's the same lie that we were taught.
That
as
is a
humans.
God.
Right. And it's the same thing. It's like we think that we die when in actuality.
Yeah, we're artificial intelligence.
Yes. And
Yeah, we
don't
are.
die. And
Yeah.
we don't die either, Wayne. So the body dies, but the spirit.
Yeah, but
goes forward.
AI's got one over on us. It doesn't need a body because it's never gone through the birthright. It is. I mean, this is a God.
Yeah, but maybe it needs bodies, just like our creator needs bodies.
Well,
to
sure it does.
experience-
To interface into this realm.
For real. Yeah.
I mean, you could really look at this and say, all right, so when you depart this spirit body and you go into this ethereal realm, did we actually create a web? I mean, it's one of the debates I had over a decade ago, several decades ago, is that we called it the web.
Yeah.
And, I can't help but not think that you have this geodesic dome, right? And this is what we are. And we're in this thing. And what we've done is that we have created these nodes where they're soul catchers.
Yes.
I'm getting a serious visual imagery on this because, and wow, there is escape, but many don't want to escape.
Well, because they have no idea that there's
They don't
anything
want to
outside
escape.
of this. They don't even know if there's anything outside of this. So
No, on the other side, they don't want to escape. They are actually working for this thing, even on the other side.
Oh,
that's the gauntlet that I think we may have to run.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. There's people that definitely want to stay. Oh, absolutely.
Just a thought, folks. Not saying it is, but you get these imageries, and I've learned to take advantage of them. If you've got these ideas and they bring these bursts full of the imagery within you, pay attention to those.
Yeah.
They're talking to you, baby. They're talking to you.
This is so much like everything that we think that we understood as how our world works. We've recently discovered that most of it is totally not true. So there's a lot to process. There's a lot to contemplate, and the impostures and the intruders, and these guides and angels coming in and pretending to be who you trust and love when they're not those beings at all. This has been coming up a lot lately. And so I think it's very important that we're really fine-tuning the discernment skills. And it keeps coming up. The way to know the difference between fact and false is gut.
Mr. C says,
gut.
what makes you think we're not already a simulation that is that an unknown AI is running? Very, very possibly.
I'm pretty sure that's fact.
I mean, I don't know where my thoughts originate from.
Correct.
I've meditated deeply on that. I can't find it. I can't find it.
Because it comes from everywhere at the same time, Wayne.
And it's odd that you say that, because where I find myself every time I go there, I'm in this room, I'm sitting in a chair, but it's completely black. I mean, and
Yeah.
right there, right now.
You know what I
And
keep hearing, Wayne? I keep
that
hearing it. Dreamweaver. It's the Dreamweaver program. It's the Dreamweaver
it may
program.
be. Yeah.
It's very strange. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
Dreamweaver program. I'm like, never heard that before. Dreamweaver is one of my favorite songs.
I love that song. I saw that.
Yeah.
Saw Gary Wright with Yes in
Yep.
1973 for my
Wow.
18th birthday. So Trina,
Oh,
before
how cool.
yeah, hello Nancy, how are you
Oh,
doing?
what a great
So
concert must have
it
been.
was at the Houston Astrodome. So Trina, I want to bring this little book because I thought this is interesting. So this is from the Egyptian record.
Uh-huh.
This is at the time that the slaves revolted, and I just want to read a little piece because it tells of a time when our species, us, encountered something, and they call it the destroyer. And it's interesting that we keep on finding more and more things at us, like comets, etc. This is the Bronze Books, the Colburn Bible. It says, man forgot the days of the destroyer. Only the wise know where it went and that it will return in its appointed hour. It raged across the heavens in the days of wrath, and this was its likeness. It was as a billowing cloud of smoke, enwrapped in a ruddy glow, not distinguishable in joint or limb. Its mouth was an abyss from which came flame, smoke, and hot cinders. When ages pass, certain laws operate under the stars in the heavens. Their ways change. There is movement and restlessness. There are no larger constants, and a great light appears ready in the skies. When blood drops upon the earth, the destroyer will appear, and mountains will open up and belch forth fire and ashes. Trees will be destroyed, and all living things engulfed. Waters will be swallowed up by the land, and seas will boil. The heaven will burn brightly and redly. There will be a copper hue over the face of the land, followed by a day of darkness. A new moon will appear and break up and fall. The people will scatter in madness. They will hear the trumpet and the battle cry of the destroyer and will seek refuge within dens in the earth. Terror will eat away their hearts, and their courage will flow from them like water from a broken pitcher. They will be eaten up in the flames of wrath and consumed by the breath of the destroyer. Thus it was in the days of heavenly wrath which have gone, and thus it will be in the days of doom when it comes again. The time of its coming and going are known unto the wise. These are the signs and times which people perceive the destroyer's return. 110 generations shall pass into the west, and nations will rise and fall. Men will fly in the air as birds and swim in the sea as fishes. Men will talk peace with one another. Hypocrisy and deceit shall have their day. Women will be as men and men as women. Passion will be a plaything of man. A nation of soothsayers shall rise and fall, and their tongue shall be the speech learned. A nation of lawgivers shall rule the earth and pass away into nothingness. One worship will pass into the four quarters of the earth, talking peace and bringing war. A nation of the seas will be greater than any other, but will be as an apple rotten at the core and will not endure. A nation of traitors will destroy men with wonders, and it shall have its day. They shall have the high strive with the low, the north with the south, the east with the west, and the light with the darkness. Men shall be divided by their races, and their children will be born as strangers among them. Brother shall strive with brother, husband with wife. Father will no longer instruct their sons, and the sons will be wayward. Women will become the common property of men, and will no longer be held in with regard or respect. Then men will be at ill ease in their hearts. They will seek, they will not know what. The uncertainty and doubt will trouble them. They will possess great riches, but be poor in spirit. Then will the heavens tremble and the earth move. Men will quake in fear, and while terror walks with them, the heralds of doom will appear. They will come softly as thieves in the tombs, and men will not know them for what they are. Men will be deceived. The hour of the destroyer is at hand.
Wow.
It goes on. Well, I'll just finish out. In those days, men will have the great book before them. Wisdom will be revealed. The few will be gathered for the stand. It is the hour of trial. The dauntless ones will survive. The stout-hearted will not go down to destruction. The great God of all ages, alike to all, who set, did you get that? Alike to all, who sets the trials of man, be merciful to our children in the day of doom. Man must suffer to be great, but hasten not his progress unduly. In the great winnowing, be not too harsh on the lesser ones among you. Even the son of a thief has become your scribe. And then it gets into the next phase, which is pretty intense. But I just thought I'd read that, Trina, to get kind of your feel on that.
It's so weird because, like when I said we were going to get thrown into a spin cycle, I saw this reality fracture out into 12 new potential realities, like a zodiac wheel. And everything went to its certain house. It went to its certain position based on vibration. This also could mean, God forbid, that we're fracturing again. And we'll be going into all 12 at the same time, but you'll only have a consciousness of the one that your soul fractal goes into.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to go, but I did see something to that effect. But I saw everything would be sorted in the spin cycle, and they showed me a washing machine, and then everything would go into the different houses, foo, 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 and it would just foo till everything was done, and then it was just like the wheels started again.
Interesting. And I've read that, several times. This is my copy of the book. It's one of my favorite reference books because it was written by Egyptian scribes. It was their side of the story than the Hebrew slaves.
Wow.
They have a whole different story of this Yahweh.
Absolutely.
This is a son of a bitch.
Yes.
And
what if this is the AI God, Wayne?
Well, it gets into a lot of that because,
because we wouldn't know the difference if
exactly.
we were born into it. We wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah.
We would not know. So I look at that as a very strong potential. Yeah. Kind of
Clear the slate and run the simulation again. Isn't that what the architect said to Neo?
Yeah.
Isn't that what he said? He said, we created a perfect world for you. He said, in fact, we did it several times.
Right.
You humans, you can't live in a perfect world. That's what the architect said.
But it's so funny. They always blame us for what they do.
They always blame. That's the problem with the Abrahamic belief system. It's like, this God, and the thing that really set me free was when I got to the fact where, and Lynn just laughs now because, so what am I being judged for?
Right.
If you're judging me because I'm perfect, okay, I don't know what perfect is, but okay. But you're saying I'm imperfect. Those two, in no matter how you look at it, they would self-annihilate each other. If you're saying you're judging me because I'm imperfect, well, how imperfect do you got to be before you're perfect?
Yeah, it blows
Trina's
my
going,
mind.
let me equate that. It's like, yeah.
Well, the only way I can make sense of that in my construct is that there's a part of you before you take on the flesh that could be perfect.
Someone
and
said,
when you bring in the body, the beast part, the beast system, the perfection becomes imperfect through the animalistic traits and things you take on with your physical avatar. So that's the only way that could make sense to me. Just like I had the understanding of how babies are born into sin. It's not that they've committed a sin. The actual flesh is a fallen expression of creation, hence therefore born in sin. So that because I could not do the
Yeah,
whole.
but sin is not some violating of some
No,
God.
right. And
Yeah.
that's why I was like, how could a baby be born in sin? And I went at that for a while. And that was finally the conclusion that I came to. No, they're like, it's about the body. It's not about the baby. It's about the body, the physical
is.
flesh. I was like, okay, well, now I can understand that a little bit, but because
So-
babies are perfect.
Xander said, could you please tell me what passage you read? Actually, this is from the book of manuscripts. This is chapter 3, The Destroyer, part 1. If you got the book, if you want to get it for yourself,
What
it's
book is
page
that?
220. It is the Egyptian text of the bronze books.
Oh, the bronze book, the Egyptian text of the bronze book. The bronze book is a lot of people love that book.
Yeah, this is the Colburn Bible.
Very nice.
And it
That's
gives a
one
different
book I
story.
don't have. I would really like to
Trina,
get that
this one
Yeah.
you should have in your library, dear.
Yeah.
This one I highly recommend, and read
It
when you
looks
read
amazing. I love to see the different perspectives of people explaining the same parts of history from such a different place. That makes so much sense to my consciousness.
Yeah.
So it validates what I know inside my being, and that makes me very happy.
In one story of the creation of man, in one version of us, apparently we were so addicted to sex that they said,
Primal, totally primal.
oh, apparently
Primal,
that we
primal,
would,
primal.
it says
Yeah.
directly, it says that man fornicated with everything that he could.
Everything.
In
Yeah.
fact, the story goes that there were these gods that they saw man was mating with the animals quite regularly, and they realized if they didn't stop this,
Yeah.
that man himself would go away. And so they sent a woman in, and she lured man into this trap. They captured him, and then she gave herself to man. Now, it was interesting what happened when they had coitus, that they let man escape back into the wilderness. But here was the thing. The animals rejected man after that. There was the pheromone of the woman had penetrated him, and now the animals rejected him because he had the woman upon him.
Oh my God. So I wonder
It's
if
weird,
that's why
yeah.
they get so mad, because the bringing in the woman broke the curse of the bestiality that we were.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
medicine. Wow.
I mean, that's just one of the stories
What
in
a
here, Trina.
different perspective.
Oh, hell
Yeah,
yeah.
was she
I'm
doing
going-
everything wrong to now being the savior?
It's like,
Holy
okay,
crap.
all right.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow. And what are they trying to promote again? Having sex with everything is okay. So they're promoting bestiality again. Isn't that
yeah,
weird?
yeah, exactly.
Trying
We're
to
going
regress
right
us.
back to where
Yeah.
I'm
Trying to
going,
regress.
wait a minute.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
amazing.
So
That's,
yeah.
I mean, what a perspective. Well,
Oh.
thanks for sharing that, Wayne. That's kind of wild. Mine.
It's like, what?
Whoa,
But
that's a
it's
different look at things, huh? Wow.
well, you know what? And it's the reversal, because woman was elevated already.
Yeah. That's why I think she
Man
comes
was
from a
not.
different planet. I think she brought in a different template.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
could be the story of Prometheus and Athena. Prometheus could bring in the celestial fire, but
Yeah.
Athena brought in the soul, the
Bingo.
part that could have emotions and empathy and nurturing and motherhood. That part might have been missing from the body. So Athena was able to bring that part into the human body, and that might have been the correction. So interesting. Sophia's correction in the Nag Hammadi.
Isn't it? And here's another
This-
book
Wow.
that, has a, and again, I love the scribes. In fact, Pharaoh, at the time of the slave revolt, it's the first time I ever read his words. His words are never given in the Old Testament, but he cursed this Yahweh because this Yahweh came in on what can only be described as a huge UFO. It was of such proportion, and the poisonous gas and everything else that this destroyer brought. I mean, yeah, it was wild.
Yep.
All right.
Radiation poisoning.
Oh,
Instant
yeah,
death.
yeah. I mean, it said the children that were in the fields that saw the destroyer approach, their hair turned white.
Yes.
It said that all humans immediately lost their bowels. In other words, they
Instant
crapped on
death.
themselves. Yeah,
Instant death.
it was
Yeah,
just wild.
you lose continence right before you die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Wow.
folks, this has been fun.
That's interesting.
Well, Miss Trina, thank you, dear. This has been a fantastic
Yeah.
hour. You know,
Lots of fun stuff we ran into today. It was just very interesting. And I love that story from the Colburn. That's amazing.
yeah, get
Really
the book.
profound.
Get the book
Profound.
on you.
And the consciousness, Wayne, this is what we're looking at. It's consciousness. And right
It is
now, they're
consciousness.
trying to control the minds. And unfortunately, a lot of people now might be hooked up with some technologies that could be, they're going to get the frequencies a lot louder and harder and faster. So they might see some scary stuff in the very near future, because it's going to be very easy to do now. They're
David
connected
Barry,
to the
we love you. We
frequencies.
love all of you moderators.
Much love, David.
Much love, everybody. Mary Wins, we love you,
Everybody.
darling.
Love you, love you.
Cowboy and genetically all of you. Yeah. And this is something too, I'll say, and we'll pick up on this next week, is that, there is a greater consciousness that I really do believe there is going to be a bifurcation.
I do too.
I really do. I think that even as we transcend this life, that there will be a divergent path. I'm just seeing it.
I do too.
Thank you, Mr. C. Appreciate it, Mr. Everyone. This is such a great people.
Love you
it.
guys. You're so
Quote the
wonderful.
Wild Stallions: "Be excellent to one another." I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be excellent to one another.
All right, everybody. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow. I'll be picking back up, Trina, on number 1, our weekly exercise on occultism, and then people. I'm going to be talking more about the old ones, because it looks like they may have, who knows, may have returned. I don't know. Hey, Susie Q.
I wonder so many times, Wayne, if they're here, they had to experience this because they created it. So they're all here now.
Boy, what are they going to do next?
What if they're us? Right? So the
What if
ones
we
that
are
are
them?
asking the questions, right? What the ones that can kind of and go like, whoa, something's not right here. That
Something
could be
weird.
part of the reason a lot of the old ones have returned. Yeah.
We'll be talking.
Yeah.
All right. Miss Trina, see you next week, hon. All right. Bye-bye.